Tonight on The Late Debate, a big moment in London politics. Next month's elections could redraw the political map in a city where Labour dominates, but for how much longer? From the cost of living to council tax, there's a lot at stake as voters go to the polls in 3 weeks' time. We ask the main parties how they plan to win your vote. Plus, a big anniversary for London's mayor. But how should we judge Sadiq Khan's 10 years at City Hall? Hello and welcome to The Late Debate. In 3 weeks' time, the polls will have closed on what could be an uncomfortable night for Labour. Historically, the party has enjoyed strong support in London, but the local elections could change that. Politics has become more divided, and voters could reshape the way the capital is run.
I think these elections are very exciting. It's going to be a huge change. That real disappointment and disapproval of the Labour government and the Tories to some extent is going to mean that voters are looking to reform, looking to the Greens, looking to Lib Dems and even independent candidates instead.
Joining me now to discuss that are my guests this week. Rachel Blake is the Labour MP for Cities of London and Westminster. Chris Philp is the Shadow Home Secretary and Conservative MP for Croydon South. Luke Taylor is the Liberal Democrat MP for Sutton and Cheam. And Laila Cunningham represents Reform UK on Westminster City Council. Welcome all of you. Can we talk about your ambitions first of all? Rachel, how many councils in London will Labour lose?
We're absolutely fighting to win our current councils and we have some excellent candidates. I think what's really important in this election is that we're clear about just how determined Labour is to tackle the cost of living crisis, to tackle the real injustices that Londoners experience in terms of their housing costs and to make sure that we're investing in the public services.
But it's going to be a challenge, isn't it? It's tough for Labour.
These are going to be tough elections for Labour because these are midterm elections and we know that people are frustrated with the pace of change, as am I. I really want to see us delivering on more genuinely affordable homes in London, making sure that the impact of this Labour government's Renters' Right Act is really felt all the way across London.
OK, we've got the message. Chris, what's a good night going to look like for the Conservatives?
Well, we are looking to make advances in London. Councils like Barnet, councils like Westminster, councils like Wandsworth, we are hopeful we can win because voters
This is win them back,
understand.
Labour took them last time.
Exactly, because voters understand that Labour-run councils put up council tax by more. The Labour government nationally is crushing families and crushing businesses with higher taxes. And voters are going to want to send a message to this terrible Labour government that they're fed up, but they're also going to want competent local Conservative administrations that will keep council tax down at a time when everybody is feeling the squeeze thanks to the Labour government nationally.
That isn't what happened in Westminster, by the way, son.
Luke, you've got control of 3 councils in London at the moment. Can the Lib Dems make any more gains?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a record of action in Sutton, Kingston and Richmond, and we're really optimistic about Merton and Southwark, but also making really big gains in other central London boroughs. You can look at a Liberal Democrat councillor as a local champion, but you can also see where we run councils and we've got that record of delivery. So it's that experience, it's that ability to both protect the green belt but also build homes as we're doing in Sutton. That's what we're campaigning on and we'll be absolutely delighted if voters trust us.
Laila, Reform UK has control of no councils in London. Can you win any?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're in it to win it. That's why we fielded candidates in most wards. And the message I get on the doorstep is they do feel that they've been taken for granted in Labour strongholds. You know, it's been Labour for 60 years and they're like, they've just taken us for granted.
So where do you think you'll take control on May the 7th?
Everywhere. It's up to the pundits to decide. You know,
it's up to the voters, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just to predict, sorry, and it's up to the voters to decide. But the message on the doorstep is they want a London that works for them and they feel that it's working for politicians and it's run by ideology as opposed to practicality.
Well, the truth is, in places like Barnet, Westminster and Wandsworth, a vote for reform will simply let Labour keep control.
True.
And I would just send that warning to people
they keep saying.
in those areas.
Just a vote in Westminster for the Tories gets you reform. We've seen
great.
2 defections from the Tories to reform in Westminster. I would be very alarmed if I felt that people were going to be
And it's interesting you
most recent by-election in Westminster, Vincent Square, the Conservatives won it back off Labour. So a vote for reform in Westminster will let Labour in. Simple as that.
Subsequently, there's been a further Tory defection to reform.
I'm talking about real votes.
you're talking about real votes. Well, real votes get Tory councillors who defect.
So
to
it's
reform
interesting
in
because
Westminster.
The truth is,
Rachel,
a vote for reform will let Labour back in Westminster once
So
worth of bargaining.
Labour sent out letters actually pointing out to those two defections, and it kind of made me laugh because it said the most extreme Tory councillors, myself and my colleague who defected, have defected to reform. Can you explain to the viewers what is extreme about reform?
I think you've got candidates now in Westminster that say hate is too weak a word for how they feel about the NHS. I think that's extreme.
No,
they say that
that's not language I would use. That's not language I would use. But people are frustrated. People are frustrated with the NHS. You lied to the NHS. You lied to the people and said that you brought wait lists down when in fact you paid different trusts millions of pounds to artificially lower waiting lists. You are gaslighting the public, consistently pretending you're achieving stuff and you're achieving nothing. And in terms of Croydon,
I think this argument shows how broken our modern politics are with five parties in the running in so many places. What we need is electoral reform. The Liberal Democrats have called for this 4 years so that when you vote at the ballot box, that vote goes to your party only.
OK, well, that's not on the ballot paper this time. But would your party go into coalition with the Greens in places like Haringey or Islington to take control?
I think there's a real risk that what we do is prejudge the results. We've got a chance for any party, I think, to take control of any borough. I think there's enough council candidates in every time. The Liberal Democrats are standing more candidates since 1986. So we're in it to run as many councils as we possibly can. I don't think it's for any of us to prejudge what those results might be, but I do expect there's going to be a lot of instability in London on May the 8th. But I think we've got to trust our candidates, we've got to trust our voters to choose who they want to take London
Rachel,
forward.
can I be clear? Does Labour think Reform or the Greens are the biggest threat in London?
I think that we are listening to all our voters, and what we're hearing is people are frustrated by the cost of living and they want to see real action on this. In some places in London, we are looking to Reform, and in some places we're looking to the Greens. And that means that we need to be out there every single day, listening to voters and also talking about our record on renters' rights. From the 1st of May, there'll be private renters in London whose rights are going to be changing. And the Mayor of London has actually invested to make sure that more renters know about that.
Let me ask Chris a question. How big an electoral asset is Sir Keir Starmer's unpopularity for you?
Well, I'm afraid it is a big issue for voters because this Labour government fought the last election saying that they weren't going to raise taxes. And that turned out to be a complete lie because businesses on every single high street in London are being crushed by massive business rates increases that took effect just a few weeks ago, massive rises in national insurance contributions paid by employers, and businesses are closing down on high streets across London thanks to the Labour government's policies. And voters are very angry about that. People are feeling the squeeze in their pockets. And that is why Conservative councils that control council tax much better are likely to do well.
Okay, Rachel,
people are very angry.
Question of the cost of living and how Labour is listening. Laila, can I ask you one final question before we move on?
Go on.
Do you worry that a vote for reform will split the vote on the right and allow Labour to keep control of Barnet, Wandsworth and Westminster?
No, I don't feel that. I feel that a vote for reform is a vote for reform. And what I'm hearing is you say that people are upset at the rate of change. Actually, people are upset that the change is going too fast. The cost of living crisis is worse under Labour. Taxes are the highest they've ever been. Wages are stagnant. Inflation's going up. And all you do is want to punish people more and more for going to work. You want to reward people for not going to work. Can I just mention Croydon Council?
No, we just want to pause here because there's one party that's grabbing the attention of particularly younger voters, and that's the Green Party. The leader, Zack Polanski, who's also a member of the London Assembly, has made big promises on housing and even raised the prospect of 10-mile-an-hour speed limits. I caught up with him at the Greens campaign launch in Deptford and asked how much damage he might inflict on Labour.
We're seeing Labour have declared a war on themselves, frankly. They're tanking in the polls, they're losing membership, and they're making increasingly unpopular decisions. So, yes, I absolutely intend to replace Labour right across London in councils to make sure that we're offering better representation for people. But we also know the voters already are rejecting both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. They're sick of the old two parties. And so what I see the new battle lines as is between a Reform Party that backs a war in Iran, that back higher bills, that have corporate backers, and between the Green Party, a party that want to lower people's bills, that want to invest in communities, and want an authentic, hopeful politics that actually offers an alternative. I think Labour are pretty meaningless in the conversation at this point. I see the real threat as Nigel Farage and reform.
What councils in London will you control after May the 7th?
Well, that's going to be up to voters, of course, but I'm still tempted in by your question about where do I think we're doing well. I think Hackney is clearly the first place to look. I think that'll be a game changer both for Hackney, frankly for London and the entire country. Lewisham is also looking really exciting for us, and I think increasingly it looks like we could do really well in Lewisham. I'm not complacent though, I'm just confident we're going to do there. Places like Islington and Camden clearly are places to watch as well.
Do you think it's possible after May the 7th you won't control any councils in London?
I think that's absolutely possible. I think that's how democracy works. We've seen Labour making relentless attacks on the Green Party as well as reform. And I think the work we've got to do is get out there on communities, on the doorsteps, and make sure we're putting forward our case. And also where there's been lies or misinformation, that we're countering those. But I'm not a politician that's cocky about these things. I'm not entitled to anyone's vote. The Green Party aren't entitled to anyone's vote.
Your pitch to Londoners is rent controls and new targets for affordable homes. But even if you win a council, you won't have the power to bring those in.
Well, I think it's about controlling the story and about making sure that we're pushing the narrative against the Labour government. Sadiq Khan, to his credit, has also called for rent controls. But to his total discredit, he's the Mayor of London and he seems to have taken no steps towards making it happen. In fact, I've very rarely seen him challenge Keir Starmer in public on it. We've got up to 50% of renters who are just one paycheck away from losing their home. Rent controls, by the way, are not some kind of radical idea. They happened pre-Thatcher. Actually, the radical idea is homes and rent that is made for profit that people can't actually afford, where £70 billion over the last 5 years has been spent on welfare that goes straight into the pockets of private landlords.
You're the Green Party leader. What's your flagship environmental policy for Londoners this election?
I think it's about making sure that we're tackling the climate crisis. So that's about making sure that we're getting solar panels on people's roofs, that we're bringing in community energy.
Do you want 10-mile-an-hour speed limits in London?
I want to see road reduction or reduction to harm and danger on our roads. What that looks like will often be up to the local area. So
but you think 10 miles an hour is practical?
I think if there's places that's appropriate. I live in Hackney, for instance, or areas in Hackney where people should be able to ride their bike everywhere. In fact, they can already. They can get on the tube, they've got a bus, and unless you're disabled, there's not really a good reason often to be in the car. There are other places, though, in the outer boroughs, for instance, where you might be lucky if you get a bus every few hours, if not sometimes every couple of days. There it clearly wouldn't be appropriate. So I don't think it's a blanket measure for London. I think it's about recognising it's up to local councillors in that area to recognise the needs of their local areas. In some areas there will be a need to get into cars because there's car dependency and we've not invested in public transport.
Luke, I think I detected steam coming out of your ears listening to that.
Well, it says it all, really. As Zack's saying, it's about not controlling the council, but controlling the narrative. And it's just such a emblematic of the problem with green politics. It's about delivering for residents. That's what controlling a council does. You deliver for residents. You deliver homes, you deliver solutions, you deliver control of so many services, bins, children's services to deliver them to school if they've got special needs. The Greens have no experience of doing that in London. So I think it's really frustrating to see such an empty conversation and, frankly, a lack of challenge of those sorts of ideas. The Liberal Democrats are delivering that for 40 years in Sutton. We control Kingston and Richmond. We put up more candidates in more wards than the Green Party. And it's not about vibes, it's about delivering for Londoners.
Rachel, your party has been quick to highlight comments made by Green candidates in London which you say are anti-Semitic or racist. Is that a measure of how scared you are of the Greens?
No, I think it's a measure of what they have said that is anti-Semitic or racist. But what I noticed in that in that video was, firstly, we have the leader of the Green Party celebrating what is government policy, which is to extend investment in solar on roofs through our Warm Homes plan. But there are also some really simplistic solutions to very complex problems. I've been working in housing and homelessness in London for more than 20 years now. I want to see more genuinely affordable homes delivered. That's what London Labour councils are doing. That's what investment in tackling services to help people off the street is doing. And that's not what I'm hearing, clear and practical solutions that are deliverable. We've seen the Green Party not deliver genuinely affordable homes.
They're fighting against homes. In Sutton, they fought against the delivery of council houses in Sutton Town Centre. That's
Laila.
what you get from the Greens.
I mean, I sat on planning in Westminster Council. It has taken taking years to get planning. It's excessive regulation, excessive time to get planning. And the problem with that, it's only the big developers that can absorb the cost of regulation and delay. And the small developers that really want to give a good product, good value for money, have left the market. We have a massive housing crisis in this city where 30 and 40-year-olds do not own a home, never will, and a state that can't provide for it. And we have the Labour Party, Sadiq Khan, boasting about how much environmental regulations they've put on housing, not boasting about how many people own a home. And Reform genuinely believe it is a failure when we have a city where you raise your children here, and when it comes time for them to buy a house, you tell them, I'm really sorry, it's too expensive for you to own a home, but you're going to move out of London, but you're going to pay for asylum seekers and refugees to live in the city that you can no longer live in, because Westminster Council and 15 other boroughs in this city have declared themselves sanctuaries for refugees, not sanctuaries for veterans. That's why veterans seek rough.
We've heard criticism of some Green candidates. Are you sure that all of Reform UK's candidates have been vetted properly?
I can't vouch for 15. I haven't vetted them personally myself. But
we heard of one in Hillingdon who's standing in Hillingdon yesterday, who's made some pretty unsavoury comments about
horrific
Palestinians.
Comments. The comments I read were absolutely horrific, and I think they're under investigation. Absolutely awful.
But you're telling people you want to run their councils and deliver their services. I think the most frustrating thing about Reform is that they are almost entirely former Conservatives who have been thrown out or failed in delivering services for the Conservatives. They're now telling us that they're going to fix the things that they broke in the first place. It's very frustrating as a councillor, as an MP, to see people who are the problem now claiming to be the solution.
Let's pause on the elections for a moment, because London's mayor doesn't have to worry about elections this time round. In fact, he's getting ready for a big anniversary.
I therefore declare Sadiq Khan to be elected as the new Mayor of London.
That was the moment nearly 10 years ago when Sadiq Khan won his first City Hall election. His main message was being a mayor for all Londoners. So how will he be judged a decade after promising this?
I want every single Londoner to get the opportunities that our city gave to me and my family. The opportunities not just to survive, but to thrive. The opportunities to build a better future for you and your family, with a decent and affordable home and a comfortable commute you can afford. More jobs with better pay. Not just being safe, but feeling safe. Cleaner air and a healthier city.
Rachel, a decent, affordable home and a commute that we can all afford, comfortable commute we can all afford. Have we all got that?
I think we are making progress to that. We haven't all got that, but we are making clear progress towards that. The last 10 years have been really tough, I think, for London. We've seen the impact of Brexit, we've seen the pandemic, the terrible tragedy at Grenfell, we've seen the impact of austerity. But what's been consistent is clear leadership on the delivery of genuinely affordable homes, and also tackling some of London's underlying really systemic challenges, which are the transport system, and also making sure that we're cleaning up the environment. We've seen more green spaces. We've seen more green spaces in the green belt, and we've seen more council homes started than since the 1970s.
Chris, your verdict on Sadiq Khan.
Let's judge Sadiq Khan against his own claims. You mentioned the green belt. Sadiq Khan is now planning to build on the green belt, supported by Reform's London Assembly
excuse me,
member.
I have a planning application here.
Housing starts, private housing
finish.
starts in London have collapsed by 84% under Sadiq Khan. Young people in our city can't afford homes under Sadiq Khan. He talked about crime and safety. In the last year, the Metropolitan Police has shrunk by 1,500 officers. Knife crime under Sadiq Khan since 2016, up by 50%. 100-odd thousand mobile phones stolen every year. Shoplifting at record levels. We're not safe in this city. And when it comes to the cost of living, Sadiq Khan is the mayor who put up our precept by 70%, squeezing Londoners. Boris Johnson, when he was mayor all those years ago, actually cut the precept.
Can I just ask
where
Laila,
Sadiq Khan put it up.
You've got ambitions, Laila, in 2028 to replace Sadiq if he stands again. Do you think he's done any good for London?
Well, I'm going to go on facts. He promised 88,000 homes a year. The best year was 2015 when he delivered 33,000. Yes, last year he delivered 10,000. So on homes, he's failed, and that is a huge betrayal to our young people. To touch on Chris's point, knife crime has actually gone up by 78%. There is a rape reported every hour with a 6% charge. We are at an all-time high for robbery, shoplifting, and theft and drugs. And obviously our Jewish community feel very much under threat. And Sadiq Khan has the audacity to not only look people in the eye and say London's the safest it's ever been, but to lobby central government for a body to censor what people are allowed to post online about crime because he calls it disinformation. He wants to bury the truth. He's not interested in keeping Londoners safe. He's interested in protecting his reputation.
I think that the apocalyptic view here is just so totally out of touch with reality that Londoners recognise that. I think for 8 years, Sadiq Khan had to deal with a Conservative government who would not fund the services that Londoners need. So I'm going to judge him on his last 2 years. So since he was elected in 2024, we've got 2,503 fewer police officers on the streets of London keeping residents safe. We've got an increase over his term, and dealing with the Conservatives' budgets is correct. The crimes per 1,000 residents have gone from 86 to 107 per 1,000 residents a year. Now, that's an increase, and that's why residents feel unsafe. And the risk of reducing police officers means that that crime rate will continue to rise. We need a commitment from the government to back the Met Police Commissioner to put the police officers back on the street and support Liberal Democrat causes
The
for
mayor
community
is the one that
police.
sets the direction.
Laila, Rachel, the Mayor promised 2 years ago that things would be better with a Labour government, the winds of a Labour government in his sails. When are we going to start to see that? Or do you think we are already?
So I think we are seeing that. We see that in investment in Violence Reduction Unit, which is seeing the impact of a public health approach to tackling some of the worst crimes
What
in
does
London.
that mean,
and
a
I
public
think that's
health
really
approach? What
important.
does that even
I'll
mean?
come on to that when I've corrected some of what you've been saying. I also think we've seen a real change in terms of a five-fold investment in how we are supporting people who are homeless.
We're short of time, so
but
be brief
just
on what it is you want to correct that Laila said.
Well, just in terms of what Laila has been putting forward, Laila will consistently talk down London. Laila will turn to anything. But the idea that a reform politician will talk down a service that is seeking to tackle misinformation is irony.
Who decides what misinformation is? Who decides, Rachel? Who decides what misinformation is? Is it the government?
Firstly,
or is it the people?
Pointing.
Who decides what misinformation is?
We have facts. We can't disagree on facts.
Is opinion misinformation? If I post a crime online, is it up to the government to decide if it's misinformation?
I think.
Chris, tell the people. Misinformation is censorship.
Laila, can Chris get a word in here?
It's very simple. Sadiq Khan, like other politicians, should focus on fixing problems like crime, not trying to censor the internet.
Yes.
Now, the fact is, in the last year, under a Labour mayor and a Labour government, London has lost 1,500 police officers, and that is making all of us, right across the country, less safe.
I've got one thing to say to all of you. We've run out of time. So there's no more time for any more chat. Much fun that it has been. So thank you to all my guests tonight, to Rachel Blake, to Chris Philp, Luke Taylor, Laila Cunningham and Zack Polanski. We're back next month. Until then, goodbye and thank you for watching.